Okay, so today I walked into the newsroom and was bombarded with people talking about this phrase that I'd never heard before, the Arctic Vortex. Sounding kind of like the polar vortex, right? Yeah, you may have heard about it. In fact, a lot of people talking about it on social media and, of course, probably around the workplace as well. Now, while there is no such thing as the Arctic vortex, there is such thing as the polar vortex, which is an area of low pressure in the upper levels of the atmosphere that spins around the Arctic during especially the winter months. Now, this Arctic vortex that I heard today, never heard before, there is some truth to what's actually going to be happening, but not necessarily the term itself. So here's what we're looking at over the next 6 to 10 days. The eastern half of the United States will be experiencing cooler than normal conditions, especially over the Great Lakes and up into the Midwestern states, where you have about an 80% probability of seeing temperatures below normal. And even right here in the Triad, we will see temperatures cooler than normal, probably on the range between 5 to 10 degrees. So let's address this whole issue of the quote-unquote Arctic vortex. What will be occurring in the upper levels of the atmosphere? There will be an area of low pressure, or a vortex, if you will. Now, vortex, by definition, is an area of swirling vorticity. Vorticity is spin in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So there will be this area of low pressure that will be coming down from Canada. I guess you could say from the Arctic. Now, this upper level low does have some connection to the type of weather that we see at the surface, but not always. So at the surface, what we're actually going to be seeing as we go into the first half of next week is, yes, a Canadian air mass coming down from the north, but actually the cold air is going to be pushed by this area of high pressure at the surface. Now, yes, cooler than normal, especially up through Minnesota down towards Chicago, where temperatures even up and towards International Falls maybe could drop down into the upper 30s to around 40 degrees. But generally, it's just the fact that it's going to be so much cooler than what you might typically expect for this time of year, especially in Chicago. Even though this graphic shows temperatures forecasted to be in the mid and maybe low 50s, there are some places that could get down into the 40s as well. Now, that's Tuesday. As we go from Tuesday into Wednesday, that cooler air will continue to be pushed to the south and east and moderate as it does so, but reaching the Triad probably Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. We could see temperatures here in the Triad drop down into the 50s. I'm not expecting much lower than the mid 50s, maybe upper 50s as a general rule around the Triad, with high temperatures probably in the lower 80s. I think maybe the foothills could see temperatures in the upper 70s as we go into Thursday. But again, you really have to trust some of these sources that are talking about some of these crazy weather events. Again, the polar vortex was a real thing that came down from the Arctic. There is some debate on whether or not and the connection directly to surface conditions, but still, this whole Arctic vortex thing, it's just kind of a hyped up word that honestly I have no idea where it came from. So that's what's going on with that. It will be cooler next week. Aside from that, though, it's just a strong cold front bringing some cooler air. Enjoy it, right?